Hello guys, welcome to Open Techno. A few months ago, we brought you the review of the Poco X5 Pro 5G on the channel. A phone that, for around 300 euros, offered us high-end features such as an HDR screen with very good resolution, good audio, and good processor performance. Or even a good camera with 108 megapixels and good photos and videos in any kind of lighting condition. Recently, the Nexus 6 and Nexus 6 Pro have been introduced, and many of you are wondering which one to buy. If it's worth spending a little more and going for the X6 Pro, if you should stick with the X5 Pro, or if you should go for the X6, which would be a bit cheaper but still shares a lot of features, for example. And that's why we've contacted our friends at AliExpress, and they've sent us these two units so we can test them and compare them head to head to see which one is worth it, depending on what each of you is looking for. This video was made possible by AliExpress, and I especially want to mention that right now AliExpress is celebrating its 14th anniversary since we started buying things on their website, and they're celebrating with discounts of up to 70% off. A little while ago, I was buying some items that I'd had in my shopping cart for a while, keeping an eye on them, and now they're really at giveaway prices. So I encourage all of you to go to your cart, check the items you're following, and take a look because they're probably at a discount you won't see again for quite a while. Also, on their website you can get phones like these, so if you like either of them after this video, just know that you can go buy them on their website and you'll probably find the best price around this time. This runs until March 27th, so don't miss out because the units are pretty limited. There are discounts on a lot of products, but they're limited by quantity, so go check out the link we left for you in the description as soon as possible. Also, just so you know, you don't just get discounts on individual items, but if you make a multiple purchase, for example, you get discounts as well. You spend, let's say, 100 euros or 200 on whatever you want on a phone or on a set of items. You're going to have discounts that we'll show you here also on the screen because you can apply them to these bulk purchases. The truth is that since AliExpress launched, logistics have improved a lot. Now, orders can arrive in 2-3 days or even 5, and on top of that, the prices are still really good. For all of you who might not know what AliExpress is, well, AliExpress is like a store where we can find all kinds of items from technology, like I said, to cell phones at the best price. You can even find things for camping, sports, and more, so there's a huge variety of items. That being said, and recommending that you go to the link we left in the description to check out anything you're following on AliExpress, let's start with the comparison of these two phones. On my right, we have the Poco X5 Pro 5G. Both phones are 5G, and on the left, the Poco X6 5G. It's not the Pro. I'll tell you in advance that the phones are going to be very similar. However, the Poco X5 Pro 5G is around 300 euros, while the X6 is around 230 euros, so there's about a 70 euro difference. Here we have a newer generation, but why is this one more expensive? Well, because this one has things that, in my opinion, are going to perform better. Let's take a look at the phones. Let's do a general overview of all their features for those of you who haven't seen the review of the Poco X5 Pro, and I'll also tell you how they differ. Let's start with the design. If we look at them with the screens off, we won't be able to tell which is which, because the dimensions, the screen, and the weight are exactly the same. Even the top part has the same jack, same microphone, it's stereo, same infrared sensor, same USB-C, same speaker. The left side is empty, while the right side has the power and volume buttons. If we turn them around, we can start to notice maybe a slight difference, because the camera layout is a bit different, but it's practically unnoticeable. The Poco X5 Pro unit is made of a kind of rough material. It's not glass or anything like that, it's more like a rough plastic, which doesn't get as dirty when you touch it. However, the Poco X6 is made of this material, either plastic or glass, where all the fingerprints will show and it's going to get a bit dirtier. This totally depends on your taste. Both models come in several colors to choose from, white, black, and then you have some other colors like blue and others that vary. If we look at the cameras, as I mentioned, we'll find the first difference. And let's start with this aspect. On the Poco X5 Pro, we have a main camera of 108 megapixels. It's a camera that delivers very good results, as we saw in the review. We'll get very sharp photos at night, during the day, in videos. In short, it's a very versatile camera that can even compete with high-end phones. However, on the Poco X6, we're gonna have a 64 megapixel camera, but just because it has half the resolution doesn't mean it's going to be only half as good. Also, the sensor is different, so the perceived quality will be much lower. During the day, it will take very good photos. Because the X5 will take very good photos in any situation, while the X6, well, it will take acceptable photos. But where will the difference be? Mainly in night photos. In night photos, we will notice low definition, quite a bit of noise, and a watercolor effect, as if the objects are not well defined. We don't have that contrast that also makes the image look sharper. Well, it's a lower tier camera after all. However, this doesn't have to be a bad thing. If you're users who basically take photos for everyday things like taking a picture to send to a friend or something like that, this camera is more than enough. Who is it not enough for? Well, for all those people who want to capture all their vacations, all their memories in an album, who want to take photos to print them out large, and who need that extra quality to enlarge them on a computer or something like that. However, if your photos are not going to leave your phone, this phone takes more than decent pictures. Both phones have a wide-angle lens. 0.4 gives us good quality in the case of the X5. In the case of the X6, well, if it just needs to get us out of a tight spot, it does the job. But the quality is not good at all, to be honest. And then, on both, we have digital zoom, which I don't recommend using. I always prefer to take photos at 1x zoom. And then, if I need to zoom in for any reason, I do it afterwards. But for now, I have the maximum information without cropping the original photo. Both have a macro camera. It's the same camera on both phones, which, well, gives good results if we get close to an object and need to focus up close, but it doesn't have much resolution either. It specifically has 2 megapixels, just so you know. The front camera is exactly the same. We have 16 megapixels on both phones, and the sensor is exactly the same, so here we're gonna get the same result. Photos that are fine for video calls and such, but they're not going to be sharp or good photos at all. They're just pretty decent for video calls. I haven't mentioned it, but both have 4K recording on their main rear camera. And well, as I mentioned, the quality of the X5 Pro 5G is going to be quite a bit higher than that of the X6. So if you're someone who cares about the camera, go for the X5 Pro 5G next section. Still talking about aesthetics. You'll see that here we have a yellow button on the X5 Pro 5G. It's a button where you put your thumb and it unlocks with a fingerprint sensor. What about the X6? Well, the fingerprint sensor is now on the screen. Now it's on the screen, where you have to put your finger to unlock the device. This is a matter of preference, whether you prefer to put your finger in one place or the other. It's totally a matter of preference. Both sensors work very fast. I don't find many differences. I feel they're pretty much the same. It's just the position. Let's continue with the screen. The screen on the X6 will offer slightly better image quality. We have a QHD compared to a full HD. However, the full HD on the X5 Pro 5G is going to have HDR, which means that in those typical nature videos or high quality city videos, we'll get great quality. We're going to have a much wider dynamic range than on the X6. On the X6, these colors would look a bit more muted. We have less dynamic range between the shadows and the highlights. However, when using them, I haven't noticed any difference in resolution. So in this regard, I care a lot about the screen, so I would go with the one on the X5 Pro 5G. Also, both screens are 120 Hz. The system automatically adjusts between 60 and 120 Hz, depending on how we use it. We can force it to work at 60 or 120 Hz manually, but it'll handle that automatically to help with battery life. Then, the X6 is supposed to be a bit brighter. But like I said, it makes up for it with the HDR we have on the X5 Pro. The feeling is pretty much the same. Both are gonna work very well, both indoors and outdoors. However, the X5 Pro has that HDR, which is a plus. As for the processor, both phones have an 8-core processor. Both have different types of cores with higher and lower frequencies. Specifically, the processor in the X5 Pro is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G, while the one in the X6 is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 7S Gen 2. What does this mean? That both are gonna have very good performance. In fact, they're gonna have exactly the same performance because we've tested it by browsing the web and loading certain programs. Even with Geekbench, a synthetic test that gives us a numerical result, and the result is identical. Both processors, even though they're different, perform exactly the same. The one in the X5 Pro is built on 6 nanometers. The one in the X6 uses a 4 nanometer process. The X6 should be slightly more efficient. I'll discuss this later in the battery section as it won't make much difference. Related to the performance section, we're going to see some differences between the devices in terms of their configuration. The X5 Pro has 6 GB of RAM with 128 GB of internal storage to save our photos, our apps, all our content. Meanwhile, the X6 has double the RAM, specifically 12 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage memory. Why is this important? Well, if you're someone who saves a lot of photos, a lot of videos, a lot of content in general, and many apps, the X6 will suit you better. Why? To manage apps in the background so they don't close on you, and to handle heavy apps. This one will have 12 GB of RAM, double that of the other one. And this will allow us to keep apps open in that RAM. Also, with 256 GB of storage, we'll have more than enough storage space. I mean, we'll be able to put all our content in without running out of space. The Poco X5 Pro is a bit more limited in this aspect. However, it handles things pretty well, and I would say that for everyday apps, social media, even gaming, you won't notice any difference. But if you usually do things that require more RAM, like photo editing, for example, if you use Lightroom, if you transfer photos from your camera to the device for editing, then the X6 will be better for you because it has those 12 GB of RAM. As for performance, like I said, I've tested them and they perform exactly the same. Both are very fast, so there's nothing to complain about here. These phones will be more than enough for a few years. And with this, let's move on to connectivity. I mentioned earlier that both models are 5G, however, the X6 will support more frequency bands, so you won't notice any difference in the connection. It is true that technically this one will have the possibility to connect to more types of antennas compared to the X5. On the other hand, the X6 does not have Wi-Fi 6, it only has Wi-Fi 5 unlike the X5 Pro, so if you usually stay at home, you'll benefit more from the Wi-Fi 6 on the X5 Pro. If you're someone who is out more often, you'll get more out of the 5G that the X6 has. As for Bluetooth, GPS, and fast charging, they are exactly the same. Bluetooth 5.2 regarding GPS, the same technologies. As for fast charging, 67W, the charger is exactly the same. Regarding the battery, the difference is minimal in the X5 Pro. We have a 5000 mAh battery, while in the X6 we have 5100 mAh. That 100 mAh difference is absolutely unnoticeable. The processor should be a bit more efficient, but I'm telling you, when it comes to using them, both lasted me just as long. Even when using them side by side, doing tasks for a while, it's exactly the same. Both have the same battery life. Both can last up to 2 days easily if you're a normal user who doesn't put too much strain on them. However, if you start traveling, taking photos with the brightness all the way up and so on, well, the battery life would easily last a full day. But like I said, if you're a normal user, you'll get 2 days without any problem on either device. Both come with MIUI 14, the latest version from Xiaomi. It's the typical operating system that all their phones have. However, they've promised that the X6 will soon be updated to HyperOS, the new operating system introduced by Xiaomi. Honestly, I haven't found much information about it yet, but it's a new customization layer that Xiaomi will implement, and it's possible that it will also come to the X5 Pro. In principle, it would arrive on the X6 first. To wrap up the video, here's a summary of both devices. On one hand, we have the X5 Pro 5G, priced at €300 compared to the X6, which you could find on AliExpress for about €230 if you are someone. If you value the screen and the camera, go for the X5 Pro without any doubt. However, if what you want is an affordable phone that works well in terms of performance, battery, screen, and overall audio system, go for the X6. You get a newer phone with more RAM and more storage. And if you don't care about the camera or the screen's HDR, you won't notice any difference. The summary is pretty simple, so I hope I've helped you. I also hope you check out all the items on sale at AliExpress until the 27th, so hurry because they're going to sell out. There are discounts you won't see again for a long time. And just so you know, you can find both phones on their website. That said, if you have any questions about either device, leave them below in the comments. Also, if you liked the video, leaving a like helps us a lot since it lets us know you appreciate this kind of content. Any other suggestions for the future? Leave them in the comments as well, and we'll let AliExpress know so we can collaborate with them. With that said, see you in the next video. Goodbye.